Welcome to the 2025 At the Races flat season preview. This section we're going to be looking at the 1,000 Guineas, a race that neither Seb or Jason managed to win. What was your best finish though, Seb? Second, Jason?
Weighing out on the scales, I think.
Really?
Yeah, nothing spectacular.
Do you know, I finished second to Speciosa, and she had a trait of ducking left when she come under pressure. So I was sat behind it thinking, well, when he goes left, I'll just, go. And I couldn't get past her. I wish now I'd have gone up the left-hand side so that Mickey Fenton couldn't ride her, because he would have been on top of me. Mm-hmm. And either gone for an Oscar or stopped him from riding. But I took the easy option because I thought I'd go and get her.
It's a great explanation for a second, wasn't it?
Hey,
imagine if he'd have won.
Here's how I got second.
His own segment.
I went on and won the French Oaks.
Okay.
Just pick that up, Jason. Here we go.
Regards to riding a 1,000 Guineas horse compared to a 2,000 Guineas, how differently do you have to do it?
No different. No different. Just same mile. 1 day apart, and just the girls. We often talk about it's a stallion making race for the boys. It's also a huge opportunity for the girls. You get one of those really, really good mares with a fancy pedigree. The rest of their career can be massive for the breed.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we've got a fair few very, very nice fillies running this year. I think there's 15 in at the moment. Latest betting, Desert Flower is even money at the moment. 7-2 for Lake Victoria, 5-1 Red Letter, Duty First at 16-1, who I believe is in. Bedtime Story 16-1, 25-1 Chantilly Lace 33s, and bigger the rest. But obviously, Seb, Desert Flower takes a massive chunk out of this market, and rightly so. As a 2-year-old, she was sensational.
Top class. Mm-hmm. Her winning the Fillies Mile was one of the wow factors last year. But there was a plethora of absolute top class fillies last year. The fillies category was just off the radar. I think she's very, very talented, and if she comes in here fit and well, she's going to take a hell of a lot of beating, because you're going to stay well, and they'll probably be looking towards going for the Oaks as well. This is a stepping stone for her. I think she's a very talented filly.
It is. Last year, Jason, after she won at Doncaster, I was begging Charlie Appleby to send her to America because I'm Luke Elder and that's the only way I think. Regards to the Breeders' Cup, she was too good for that effectively. She went out of Newmarket and she was just amazing.
Yeah, the thing with her, she stays well, doesn't she? That's the key, isn't it? I'd be interested to see how much of a change there is in her physically. She wasn't quite the finished article, still a little bit lean and racy. There's nothing immediate about her, but she's very generous once she gets going. So there's a lot to like about it. Brings in a great profile,
and she's got form on the track, which she handled the dip and everything. And I thought she was really balanced when she won at the Fillies Mile. I was impressed with the way she ran into the dip.
Yeah.
And we know she gets the mile well.
Well, I thought that she was towards a smaller side. I haven't seen her in the flesh, only on screen. But then there's an interesting quote from Charlie Appleby. Said she's a big filly, takes a bit of organising for herself, but then she finds that rhythm. That was after her work at the Craven meeting, Seb. So maybe the TV's deceptive, and she has got a bit of size about herself.
When I watched the Phillies race, I didn't think she was small by any degree. When you see her upsides the rest of the field,
you're not far off, because she's not quite, or as a juvenile anyway, she was quite narrow.
Yeah.
So just not as robust as one of the boys. She's quite a lean, racy model. But she should have changed quite dramatically through the winter. That's got to be the hope.
The big worry is Charlie's not talking down her chances, but he's not bullying her chances at the same time.
Would that be a Charlie Appleby thing, though?
I think he's been fairly bullish about her, hasn't
he?
He said one or two things. It's going in here with the best chance, and he certainly hasn't said that about the boys.
No,
he's been more open with her.
Yeah, he wouldn't be outlandish anyway. I know we've had Aidan O'Brien the last couple of years being like, no, this horse, this is what it needs. This is still our superstar, and they would never back down from a horse. Charlie Appleby, he'll just go through his season, would he not?
I don't know. You know, I worked for the company for quite a few years, and
Yeah.
you know, for me, the negative is Charlie's taking it. He says it's taking the time for her to get up to speed.
Mm-hmm.
Whether she's going to be quite up to speed to win a Guineas, I mean, she's even money favourite at the moment. But I haven't seen anything in any of the trials. It's horses bringing form from last year.
Yeah.
And they always say it's the last 2-year-old race of the year.
Race course gallop that she had is really good, you know, and it was a really good piece of work.
Well, that's the thing. Most horses that we haven't seen yet this year, they will have had a racecourse gallop or something of that like at some point. Charlie Appleby's never won this race, but Godolphin, they have obviously 2023 Morge, Blue Bunting, Kazia, and Cape Verde going back to 1998. So it is a race that they have had success in. Is it a concern to you, Jason, that we haven't seen Desert Flower on a racecourse in an actual race yet?
No, not at all. I think it's better. You know, my question mark with her winning a Guineas is whether she's going to be quick enough with another year on her back, coming back down over the same course and distance. So if that's my thought process going further, I think she'd definitely get further. You know, people will question that. You know, they look at her pedigree, Night of Thunder. She's out of an American mare, so they're gonna. But just as a physical and looking at her, now is the time to run her with a bit of freshness and a bit of gas that'll help them to have that pace going forward. How often do we see when we look at the Australian racing and they're so good at running horses over 6, 7, a mile and a quarter because they chop and change, and it's how much freshness and gas they've got in them to get away with it. You can't win if you're fat, don't get me wrong, but that initial bit of zip about her will help her over the mile.
All right, then, question to both of you. Can you back her at even money?
No chance.
No.
So even money is too short regards to Desert Flower. Anything else on her before we move on to Aidan O'Brien?
No, not a lot really. I mean, I think even money's a bit skinny, but she's by an American stallion, so she'll appreciate the real quick ground if she gets it.
Yeah. Aidan O'Brien, as we mentioned, has got a few entries in the race, but quiz time again. I've come prepared. Again, don't shout it out. All right. How many times has Aidan O'Brien won the 1,000 guineas?
I can guess.
I hate questions like this. I'm so bad with numbers. That and years, I'm out. Answer in the comments down below, though. We will put you up against the guys at the end of the episode. Potential team this year, I mean, Lake Victoria, Seb, would be the main one. In the Lake Victoria, she looked brilliant last year, but she's another one that needs to take her game into a 3-year-old.
Look, she danced every dance last year. I mean, she won over 6 and 7 and a mile. And not in that order either. She's a very, very talented filly, but it's whether she's trained on. She was a very, very good 2-year-old, and we just have to take it on face value. Look, she's pretty good, and she danced every dance last year. It's just whether it's left a mark on her.
That's kind of the thing, Jason, as well. I mentioned in the 2000 Guineas episode that I don't love horses that come into a Guineas that ran at the Breeders' Cup the year prior. That is changing a little bit, to be fair. That's a little bit outdated. But the Breeders' Cup race that she won for a Breeders' Cup race was really not that good. But she was sent off a very short price favourite to do so, and she did it.
I mean, last year when she walked into the paddock at Newmarket, was trying to get her beat and think of something else. She came in, she was head and shoulders the best make and model in there. Now, Coolmore, breed shaping operation, it wasn't long before they realised that they needed quick mares for Galileo to be the best. So she's the next best step from that, really, isn't she? She's Frankel at a quiet reflection. So you've got everything that you need there. She was head and shoulders the best. How many times has Aidan had a really good filly, and because it's not the stallion, like they still can be superstar mares and great for the breed and everything else, but they are there and they will be raced and they will go out and go and go and go. So I love it that she's coming to the party. That is a big plus.
Yeah, we'll see if she's ready to go. Obviously, we haven't seen her for a while. 184 days off the track. Again, same question for both of you. Is that a concern for you?
No, because she won first time out, so they can get her ready. I think I read somewhere that he said as soon as you start asking her the question, she's quick to light up. What a pedigree that is.
How about you, Seb? Concern for the layoff?
I think the fillies in general for Aidan has been a bit. They've been further forward than the colts in the previous years.
Yeah.
So I don't think they'd have missed a beat.
Well, we talk about horses coming off the back of layoffs, and there's going to be a spoiler alert on this one as well, because Seb's put this horse up as his horse to follow for the flat season in Bedtime Story.
Yeah.
If someone would have told me, Seb, after Royal Ascot last year, you'd be putting her up as your horse to follow for the season, I'd have smacked you around the back of the head, because she won by so far at Royal Ascot. But then, back end of last year, things didn't necessarily go to plan.
I think she got quicker. I genuinely think she got quicker, and the ground didn't work in her favour, and maybe she went a bit weak. I think that Ryan will be scratching his head. He more than likely will ride Lake Victoria, but he'd be itching that Bedtime Story doesn't turn up, because what she did in the Chesham last year was quite frightening.
Yeah,
it was our Arazzi moment. And she never quite lived up to that the next few times she ran, although she won a couple of races after that. But they tried dropping her in and teaching her to be a proper racehorse, and for some reason it didn't work out. But new season, she'll be a winter on her back. I'm expecting her to run big, but I'm of the opinion they might be dropping her back to 6 furlongs at some stage. She's out of Mecca's Angel. And she's got a lot of speed.
Yeah, it's that same pedigree cross again,
Yeah.
and we talked about the Galileo with them quick mares, and Frankel, Mecca's Angel, a lot to like about it. Don't you remember when she won at Ascot, she wore a special bridle, like a soft vulcanite bridle, which is, if we think about your power steering, it's an incredibly soft bit, so she's really sensitive. So, it can look like the jockey's fighting and struggling. I'll be fascinated to see what bit of equipment she's got on.
Yeah, she's currently around 16 to 1 for the 1,000 guineas. And we've got Exactly in here as well, who, as a 2-year-old, Jason, had 7 races. So this is somehow the more hardened of the 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Tough, probably not good enough. I think that the quicker the ground, the better. For Exactly, but I don't think she's anywhere near his other fillies.
I've got her down as a pace angle.
Yeah.
I think she's the likely hare in the race, and they'll be hoping that even Lake Victoria Bedtime Story is drawn in and around her somewhere. But I think they'll shove Bedtime Story forward as well. I don't know where the stalls are going to be. Would they be the stand side or in the middle?
No, they'll be. So they were in the middle for the trials. It all depends how wide the track is. Let's hope it's down the middle again.
Yeah, I think it'll be middle. They tried it near side a few years ago, and it was so one-sided it wasn't funny. But I'd imagine middle would be the way. Of others, Red Letter, I should say, is in here. Who, last time around it wasn't a bad effort behind Lake Victoria in the Moy Glare, but there is the problem. Seb was behind Lake Victoria.
Was behind, but it's got a very fascinating reputation, and maybe she didn't quite run a race, but it's interesting how short she is in the market. So she must be going pretty well.
Yeah, she's currently 5 to 1 at the moment. Generally, we've got Duty First as well, who has been supplemented for this race.
Yeah, Duty First. When she won at Newbury, she's probably the most impressive trial winner that we've seen so far going forward. Like the way that she hit the line. Spoke to Archie afterwards. He said that Newmarket has got to be very much high on the agenda. He was ruining the fact that she wasn't in. Love watching trainers' mannerisms afterwards, and he was stalking around the paddock, smiling. He had his phone to his ear. He was walking up and down. I'm thinking, yeah, all systems go, and they know they're a player. Completely underestimated in the market, isn't she? And how good for them coming in as a 20 to 1 underdog. That's good for them.
Yeah, exactly. No pressure on you whatsoever. If you run well, then great. If you don't, then there's another day for you. You were at Newbury, weren't you?
Yeah.
On the day of the Fred Darling. The first 6 home: 33 to 1, 40 to 1, 14 to 1, 80 to 1, 40s, and 125s. I don't think this form is fantastic. I'm going to be honest with you, Seb. But you were sort of more complimentary about it off air.
I thought of the fillies we've seen, she was the best we've seen in the trials. I thought at Newbury the ground was very marmitey. There's also in there, what is it, Simmering, is it?
Yeah.
And she looked like
She was 7th.
She wasn't handling the surface, whereas Archie's filly bounced off it and really hit the line. And she wasn't stopping when she hit the line. I thought she'd stay the mile well. And I think she'll give Ollie Doyle a real decent ride. I'm not sure she's quite good enough. But she's going to be fit, and she has a bit of class about her.
Yeah, and I'll throw one more out there as well, Jason, because this is a horse I really like. Chantilly Lace for the Wraith Beckett team. One run so far, straight into a Guineas. That's not necessarily the Beckett style, but look, Beckett and fillies, I'm not going to second guess you.
No, and it's funny with Rafe. His team, they haven't quite been there in their coat. So this week, I always remember Russian Rhythm a million years ago was never going to run, and Stout, he said, oh, she's just turned the corner.
Right.
You know, coat had come and started to blossom and then ready to go, and we all know how good she was. So there's a possibility of that happening. If there's a lively outsider, and she was fat for her return and went off 5-1 favourite behind the duty horse that we're talking about, is Simmering. Honestly, she was so fat in the prelims, very unlike an Ollie Sangster runner. They're normally fit and ready to go, but I don't know if he was under some sort of pressure to get her out in new ownership and everything else, but she's the one that is completely forgotten about, and she had some real good form behind Lake Victoria and over in France. So quick ground, improver, outsider.
Yeah, that's Simmering, who's currently about 50-1, but
She was the pick of the paddock that day in the Fed
Really?
Darling, I thought. Although you're saying she was a bit
fat.
I said to you off air, I think she looks smaller, but then you said no, it's the opposite.
No, I thought she was a good stamp of a horse.
Yeah.
And I actually thought she was the pick of the paddock, although she looked like she'd improve a fair bit.
Listen, we're all trying to find something that's going to come there and turn up, because we don't like the jolly even money. Lake Victoria, I think if she turns up, this will be an absolute...
She'll be a worldie.
Aiden's got his hands full trying to win the 2000. I think you're loading the gun here, aren't you? Point and shoot Lake Victoria.
Yeah, they say 7-2 at the moment for Lake Victoria. We'll get Guinea selections in a moment. One more quiz.
Yes.
The longest price winner of the race, full stop. How far are you going back, Seb?
I don't know.
Don't do more maths.
No idea. I have no idea.
Leave your answer.
Was it
in
each
the
way? Is it
comments.
an each way selection?
No. At least this one's actually running. But leave your answer down in the comment below. Go watch the 2000 Guineas one to get that reference. But this section is brought to you in association with the At The Races app, as well as race cars tips and market movers. The At The Races app now features Bet Caller, voice-activated betting. Just tap and hold the green Bet Caller microphone wherever you see it, and then speak your bet, and your bet slip will automatically populate. It's crazy that, Seb, isn't it? Don't want me to teach you how that works later.
Please.
1,000 Guinea selections. Right, let's get down to the nitty gritty. Sebo, go for you first. Where are you looking?
I'm going to go bedtime story.
Yeah.
I think she's a worldie. And I think they might be going back in trip after the Guineas.
Jason.
Yeah, flip side of the coin, I think Desert Flower will be going up in trip after this. That's my own personal opinion. Lake Victoria, I think if she turns up in any sort of peak conditions, she's going to be very, very tough to beat. I'm going to have £1 each way on Simmering, because her run at Newbury was too bad to be true.
Yeah, I like Chantilly Lace for the whole season. I think she'll run a massive race here in the Guineas. If Wraith Beckett is considering her good enough to go there first time around, she's currently about 20-1 or so. I think that's a fair price, and she was very impressive at Salisbury on her first start. So I'll take Chantilly Lace, but we're all going different areas. Do you want some quiz answers?
We do need them.
Right, how many times has Aidan O'Brien won the race? Pick your number.
Somewhere between
1 and 20.
5 and 10.
6.
7.
There we go.
Yeah.
7 is the right answer. And the
Go on
biggest...
then, Luke, name him.
I haven't got time.
No.
Honestly, we need to wrap it up. Otherwise, I would. Longest price winner of the race. You don't have to go back too far. Sean Levy,
Oh, Bilston Brook.
66-1, which was
Not that long ago.
7 years back.
It's
Maybe not even that
far.
much. Yeah, maybe not even that much. But that is our 1,000 Guineas section all done. Leave your comments down below with who you like for the 1,000 Guineas. Best of luck with your selections as well. Thanks to Seb and Jason. You can click somewhere on this screen for another preview.